You're addicted to the misery.
Wait, can I say something? Respectfully, I think they're all ugly, and I think I'm just gonna go.
Wait, you said you think all of us are ugly?
Yeah.
Because they got a hot girl, they can be horrible. Like you're still ugly.
I know I'm not worthy of you, but I just can't help loving you. It's like wanting to touch a star. You know you'll never reach it, but you've just got to keep trying.
Are you in love?
I was.
Hey, pick a superpower. Invisibility or flight.
Right.
I'm already invisible.
Been in a relationship for 2 years?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's serious.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you trust her?
Yeah.
Is she loyal?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Hopefully.
I have an AI that searches any dating app with just a face photo. Would you want to see it?
Yeah.
Do you have a photo so the AI can search the database with like facial recognition? Take a picture of that? All right, the results just came back with a match, bro. Look, is this her? It says it's Tinder Premium.
Oh my God, there's no fucking way.
Weak.
What's your biggest pet peeve when it comes on to texting?
If I don't text her back fast enough, she will say, "Who are you texting?" And that's my pet peeve because I'm fucking doing something that I'm busy with. So that's my pet peeve.
Do you think that's like an insecurity, or where could that stem from?
No, I'm just like,
She's crazy.
can I cuss?
Say anything you want to.
I'm just like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, I'm number one priority. Period. Point blank.
But she also wants me to pay for everything. So
You're his number one priority, or you believe you should be. What number priority is she actually in reality?
Two.
she's in the
Two.
top three. She's in the top three. She's at least
I'm top
yeah.
three?
No, you're in the top. What do you mean? You said two. That's in the fucking middle of 1, 2, and 3.
So I would be 3?
I got a mom.
Yeah, mom is 1. That's fine.
Yeah, mom is 1.
Until marriage, which is appropriate.
We're
I
not
think.
married yet.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay,
That's
so
fine, but
maybe
why
my-
would you say
maybe
top
my-
3? I'm number 2.
Okay, she's number 2.
Period.
Wow, this looks like a wonderful relationship that will never end. Guys, I feel like a lot of people who reach out, or even in these random comment sections, fall into just a few different camps. They either understand the game and play it wisely, good for you, get depressed about the game like in the first clip, or they just need a bit of advice on the new journey they've chosen. And all 3 of these can be answered or affirmed in the same way. Modern women cannot change, not in this lifetime. Understand this simple fact, and you will be free. Although I share these clips and present to you the many, many reasons why Western women are a time bomb, there's absolutely no reason why you shouldn't continue to go out and live your lives. It's adversity that makes men strong. We all know that. The key here is that, as men, we get to choose the path we walk on. The struggles that follow are out of our control, but that first step really matters.
So I'm 36. I've been dating a girl for the past 4 years. I was getting ready to pop the question, and something big happened. I found out she was cheating on me. She said she was really sorry and that it was a mistake, that she loves me and that it's never gonna happen again. Any advice?
But what I'll say to you is, in my experience, watching my clients, this is either the beginning of the end or it's the end of the beginning.
Like he said, this could be a mistake, but how? So if we hit a rough spot, you're gonna go fix it outside the relationship. Yeah, man, I'll get another chick. Yeah.
We should do what we always do. Ask Chef for help. Where is Chef?
My wife confessed that the baby we are raising isn't mine, and my mother told me to forgive her or she would disown me, but I decided to have her served with divorce papers. I and my wife have been married for 7 years, and what I thought was our daughter is 3. Looking back, this all started after my wife gave birth to her daughter. She suddenly became a lot more affectionate to me and was a lot more active with me in the bedroom life. She also made my favorite desserts a lot more often. I of course didn't suspect anything since even prior to her pregnancy, there were no signs of cheating, but also possibly could be that just didn't look close enough into it. Well, this whole fiasco started 2 weeks ago after a day out with her daughter, and she just sat me down in the evening and came clean about the fact that her daughter wasn't mine. Her waterworks of course also started. And apparently, it was a guy from the gym, and it lasted a month before he disappeared on her after he found out she was pregnant. Honestly, even typing this now I feel like crying since I thought I did everything perfectly, but she still cheated. As much as I wish I could say I had a stone face or something, I just started crying and she tried to comfort me, but I just pushed her away. I felt so disgusted with her. After I had calmed down a bit, I just grabbed my jacket and left for a hotel, and while I was leaving she just begged and pleaded for me to forgive her and that I was the only father her daughter knew. After crying myself to sleep in the hotel the next day after I turned my phone back on, I saw she had blown up my phone. I didn't read any of it and just blocked her. After having a little bit of breakfast, contacted a lawyer to start the divorce process. And it worked.
Two schools of thought, but only one gets it right. In one corner, we have men giving men advice, a perfectly acceptable solution. She's not worth the risk. Focus on your friends, family, and work, and the rest will come naturally. In the other corner, you have a woman, born and raised in the feminist faith, telling you that you have to stick it out because, quote, that's just what a man does. Or, it doesn't matter if it's not your kid. You're supposed to be the strong one. Forget her past. The important thing is she's with you now. She's a free spirit. You're just going to have to learn to accept that. Like I said, it's obvious that a vast majority of modern women will not be able to change. So now, knowing that, a lot of chicks feel like they have no choice but to try and make men change with them. But that's a worse mistake than trying to fish out a class ring from the garbage disposal with a sketchy switch. Because the fact is, men and women are incapable of betraying their true nature. At the core of everything, the nature of women is still the same. It's just that now they've chosen a path of meaningless delusion, and they're determined to stick it out. I mean, they've basically begun a massive relabeling campaign in an effort to create more simps. The emasculated second choice is the man who stepped up. The dude who forgave his cheating wife is wise beyond his years. And the guy who votes for a chick to lead his country is a strong man that desires peace. And yet, all that this feminist campaigning and rebranding have really done is highlight their worst qualities and prove that a society and its structure may change, but default human nature will remain constant.
In my year of interviewing people, I would always ask girls if after they caught their boyfriend cheating or their husband cheating, whatever, if they stayed, and it was like 90% of the time they said, yeah, they never leave.
Okay.
No. Can I ask a question?
Yeah, so you're
if
gonna
a
say
girl cheats, should she apologize?
Yeah,
Yes.
because no.
Yes, you know what makes it even funnier? She should apologize, but then you don't accept it and you walk away anyway.
Facts are facts.
But 80% of divorced women, the ones that divorced their husbands for cheating, are now actually dating married men.
Yeah.
So literally 80% of divorced women that left their husbands for cheating are now side chicks to married men.
Oh,
Yeah.
what an error.
Error.
So how do we resolve it?
Oh, do you want
Nobody
to resolve
must
it?
leave a man who cheats.
No, it's because staying with a cheating man should never be condoned, right? And dating a married man should never be condoned as well.
At all.
Omunye nomunye must find their own person. Like if you are leaving your partner for cheating.
An interesting point from the Clucking Hens, but they've missed the most important element here. Whether they stay, whether they go, they're still ironically trapped in a biological vice. Women know, on a deep level, who has the real value in society. They may wave flags, go on talk shows, create slogans, and sprinkle till the cows come home, but every one of these gestures is ironically linked to seeking male attention or approval. And this is why the preservation of masculinity at all costs is so damn important. Because, at least from a historical perspective, it don't matter if the economy is shattered under the weight of feminist policy. It don't matter if women lose their way. It does not matter in the extreme long term if civilizations rise and fall. All of this has happened before, and it will happen again. It happened with Rome, when institutions abandoned values and wives hopped from general to general. It happened before the French Revolution, when people began disposing of traditional values, throwing the baby out with the bathwater, using corn and whatever else with the idea that this was an example of true freedom. All in all, the only thing that matters is that men remain constant, as we've always been the ones responsible for picking up the pieces and doing it all over again. At the start of our own female liberation cycle, some guys chose compromise over consistency. It's why I still sometimes come across a comment with some dude saying, well, at least she tries to cook, most don't. Or the classic, well, it's better than being alone. This mentality may not be the cause of the problem. Women do that well enough on their own, but it's the kind of behavior that frees the beast entirely. Luckily, in recent years, there's been a hell of a shift. Nobody's buying it.
Break my nail, I swear to God. Move. No, you're not going nowhere. Stop. You're not going nowhere. Stop. Stop acting like that. Stop. You're not going nowhere. Say, no, you're not. Move. So can I go? I'm trying to leave. No. I got with me, babe. Please come home.
over toothpaste top. Bruh.
It should be unnecessary. Can you come home, babe? Can you come home? Please.
I'm leaving.
Come here. Say. Stop. Bro, what the fuck? So you just gonna get about to leave or somebody because you don't really care about me? I care too much about you. No, you don't, because you wouldn't leave me if you cared about me.
If you mature faster, then why are women choosing the wrong men?
Because the new
If you can't
generation
see
got
them.
sexy red guiding them to the wrong men. I feel
But
like the
that's
new
just influence. So
Right.
influence creates thinking, thinking creates behavior. Wouldn't you say that the person that has the ability to block out negative influences mature better? But
Yeah.
women can't block out negative influence like men can?
They can. Yes, they can.
Well,
They
how
can.
if they're always choosing the wrong men?
But I don't have no idea why they choose the wrong men. But I believe that we are better than it, right? When we are born, we have that nurture and we have all that in it. But it takes society. When we come out, we're now living, we're now with this family, we're in foster care.
But you're taking accountability away from the woman and you're putting it on culture and society.
So, yes.
Why are women leaving the poor choices that they made in men? Since they initiate 80% of the divorces,
matured.
but they're unhappy with their choices.
We matured more, and now we're like, dang, why did I end up with
But
this
I
nut-ass
thought it
nigga?
was embedded in you. Acting on how you feel, I would say that's immature. Kind of kids do that. How they feel, then they tend to act out. Men, we're a little bit more stoic naturally. Men are able to regulate their emotions naturally. Women get their period every month. You're more emotional. You're higher in estrogen. You are higher in trait neuroticism, so you feel more negative emotions. So therefore, if we're looking at it, the person that acts on how they feel is immature. The person that acts despite how they feel is the mature person, and that concludes to men. So let's hang that up.
This is the myth that needs to be crushed without prejudice, people. It's up there with the key causes for the mess Western men now deal with on a daily basis. For as long as I, and most of you, can probably remember, schools for all ages have insinuated that the female mind is better equipped because it develops faster than males. While this is just ridiculous, considering it's based on manipulated averages, the remaining truths only reinforce the fact that older men usually rear children with younger women. It has nothing to do with maturity. It has nothing to do with intelligence. And it's got absolutely nothing to do with situational awareness. This is the reason the tsunami of propaganda was so effective in the 80s and 90s, and why traditional social structures should never be challenged with romantic ideas of a feminist utopia. It's also why men should do absolutely nothing to encourage this mounting crisis, except focus on self-discipline and occasionally laugh out loud at the fails we find on our channel here. Looking at the world in a constant state of despair is not a masculine trait. That's something women like to do to try and ignore their many failures by saying it's all a lost cause. Sure, we can have fun and rant about the whole thing. However, this negative thinking should never influence our daily lives. If we act accordingly, if we understand that playing the game is endorsing the game, then we can avoid the fallout that women continue to bring upon themselves.
70-80% of nurses are cheating on their spouse with doctors or something like that.
Oh.
And then I asked the nurse the same question. I said, why do so many nurses cheat? And she said, well, typically the nurses, they end up getting a job and they're making more than their spouse. Then they're next to a doctor or somebody who's a surgeon and they go out for a drink and they have conversations and they were like, well, what would my life be with this person? Because I go home to this person and their life sounds a little bit better than my life.
Right.
Loyalty.
Men
Not what I
leave
said.
all the time.
Mostly women are leaving marriages and not men. Mostly women. At the college level, it's almost all women. Then men are the exception because women are initiating 90% of the time. And then if we break those stats down along religiosity, we might come up with some different numbers. But yes, it's mostly women breaking up the home. And
How
yes,
do you know that's not men's fault?
well, because we can ask these women why the divorce happened. And we can look at court documents for the reasons that they put for the divorce. And we can run different polls where we're talking to them. And what we find is the same thing that was pulled up the other night here on Whatever. He was a perfect guy. I just got fucking sick of him. I don't like him anymore. There was no excuse. He didn't do anything wrong. I just don't fucking like him.
Is she not entitled to make that choice if she doesn't like her
Well,
husband anymore?
I think that if you put your own self's entitlement above that of your children, in order to have access to their father in a two-parent household, you're setting them up for failure. And that's what we see in the stats.
And this is another thing women just get horribly wrong, like all of the time. It's not even funny at this point. Loyalty is not a feminine trait. Not unless there is some sort of exchange involved. It's why maintaining the social order is so goddamn important. Just take a look at systems all over the world that women think are tyrannical, where they point to them and say, those women are miserable and they don't want to be in the kitchen. They're just in denial. The funny part is the progressive chicks try and have these traditional Eastern women on their low-number podcasts, but when they have them on, the traditional woman always looks healthy and content, arguing that they wouldn't have it any other way. And why? Because they see what we see, that losing the traditional hierarchy puts them on the streets, spending thousands on therapy and medication, all with some kind of dissociative identity disorder. Men, on the other hand, on both sides of the world, have almost entirely remained constant. We punch in, punch out, and try and remain as disciplined as we possibly can. We've been trained to be extremely self-critical, and we usually thrive in it because it's in our wiring to do so. While women in traditional societies value that, modern women think it's something to avoid, as if putting yourself out there in destructive situations is like its own mini protest against the patriarchy, and the effects, like I said, are irreversible.
And Bunny has got countless guys lined up ready to us. Oh, how many shoes are you guys counting? Wait. Whoa, these are all the guys. There's more in there as well.
If Jesus can't save these hoes, why are you trying?
I love cheating. It's actually my biggest fantasy. You'll never want to cheat on me. You'll be drained. Like there's nothing left in you to cheat. But I will cheat because I'm bored. I am so thankful that God truly met me where I was, because I now feel emotions. I had this moment with God and I was sobbing in my living room. I was at my wit's end and I didn't understand what I was feeling, but I just knew it was like this outpour of emotion that I had not felt in such a long time. A couple days prior, I had gotten my Bible out to set on a shelf because I needed something in that shelving cabinet, and it was just out.
This is like an old Bible you had as a kid, or a
it was a birthday gift from my parents. It was out, and I just wanted an answer for why I was feeling this way. I was sobbing, I was looking at my fireplace, I grabbed the Bible, and I just like sat there, and I was just like praying. I was just like, God. I wasn't blaming God. I was just like, God, why do I feel this way? Like, what is it that I'm doing wrong? Obviously. And he was like, all you ever needed was me. So all I ever needed was him. I literally not only saw that in my brain, but like heard it. And that was all he needed to say to me for it to like manifest and to sink into my heart and my brain. And I just kept thinking that over and over and over again. And it wasn't in that moment that I had truly repented or anything. It was that I needed an answer, and he gave me an answer.
Guys, for a long time, I like to stick to brass tacks, but it's incredibly hard to ignore the fact that all of this horrific stuff we often see is a spiritual failure, as much as it is a psychological one. A while back, we watched a clip talking about women hitting the wall and running back to church to find redemption after the carousel. So many women, from single moms to lonely fans, are flooding back to these institutions to be cleansed or redeemed. And I'm not gonna lie, it's a complicated issue, because it's at the top of the list when it comes to the whole women cannot change discussion. Personally, I don't see a problem with women ditching the horoscopes and female gurus to find some kind of direction. If you want to do that, honestly, good for you. But then there's another question that we got to ask. If a woman goes to cure herself spiritually, does that suddenly make her now viable physically? Guys, the answer is absolutely freaking not. Nope, no way, no how. That part of the mechanism is busted. For women, there's no get-out-of-jail-free card, not when it comes to the prospect of dating or marriage. Sure, there's not a real issue when it comes to them seeking guidance from the church, but as far as men are concerned, that's where the buck stops. I travel a bit now, but there's a saying I hear when I occasionally spend time in the US more than from people in Europe. It's in God's hands now. In other words, it ain't your problem anymore. And if you choose to make it your problem, well, that lesson will be learned the hard way.
As a man, I can take accountability and acknowledge that I'm imperfect. So for example, if a chick said to me like, hey, Marquette, I really like guys with hair. For sure, like that is better than being bald. If you deal with a woman and you say, hey, rate each other, I'm like, oh girl, you're a bad B, you're beautiful, you're all 10s. Whereas men, we have to live in reality. We have to acknowledge the reality about ourselves and the reality about others and figure out where we stand on the hierarchy. Because I can tell you this, if you ask this young lady, is she intelligent, she look and say yes. If you ask her, does she have manners, she'd say yes. But she's been interrupting and she's been rude and unruly this whole time, which is why I have to address it. Because too often guys will look at her and say, you know, she's attractive, I want to smash. And because they want to smash, they're about to start tap dancing and like being real nice. And because they've never told her the truth, she doesn't even know the truth. That's the point. You get lied to, then you get smashed and dashed. And at the end, you're wondering why, because you have no sense of reality. And why does the lie work on you? Because you want to be lied to.
Well, we all learned an important lesson.
Hello, welcome in. Come on a little closer. Come on in. Don't be scared. What's your name?
My name is Tavarius.
Tavarius, how old are you?
I'm 29.
And what do you do?
I'm on tour for PBS Children's Story.
Oh, like you write children's books or?
I have an animation company that I started when I was 21 years old.
Nice.
And then it's basically about my childhood and teaching young black boys that black dads do care.
Wow, I love that. Oh, okay. Now, what are some things you like to do for fun?
So I have a Airbnb that's kind of like in the lake. So I'm a nature boy. So I love to climb trees in my time off. I love to draw. And I honestly just like peace. So I do a lot of peace and help for people who like need emotional regulation.
Okay, nice. Yeah. Now, what are some things you look for in a woman?
I kind of take everybody for who they are.
Okay.
So if you are naturally more outgoing, I try to match that. If you're inside, I try to match that. So I'm kind of like, I like to make my woman happy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what are some deal breakers?
Deal breakers is if you don't have any passion, you know, like if you don't know what you want to do in life, I kind of can't help you with that. You know, you got to love yourself and figure that out for yourself.
Okay.
They did him a favor. The dude's a saint. No reason to start dancing with demons now. The women on these podcasts and the women in these lineups might be picked for their concentrated delusion, the worst of the worst. But the fact is that if most modern women even have 5% of their characteristics, the answer to, should you date them, should be an emphatic no. I'll put it another way, guys, just to bring the point home. When the soil is all shit, nothing good is gonna grow from it. These women in the modern landscape might want to change. They might even be praying for it. But when they're knee-deep in an environment full of other women that discourage masculine values, it's only a matter of time before the time bomb goes off. I've seen it hundreds of times. I know you have too. Some guys think that compromise is possible, ignoring everything that's going on under the surface.
I'm worried that my long-term boyfriend isn't the one. He is like endlessly like patient and loving to me.
But
which is,
you
like,
almost say it like you're annoyed.
Really?
Well, you're certainly not grateful. And you are allowed to lose interest in your partner. You are allowed to no longer find him attractive. You are allowed to have your feelings change. But you're not even saying that. You're just kind of like, I'm bored. You're kind of saying, I want my boyfriend to be just a little more toxic than he is. I want him to piss me off. I want to fight for our relationship. You just have to find new ways with your partner to mix it up. And listen, if you're like, I just don't love him anymore, then fine. I'm not trying to convince you to be with this guy. But all I've heard from you is this like, I don't really know. He's super nice. There's some things we don't have in common. And it sounds like you are having a hard time replicating certain feelings and emotions that you responded to in the past. And the only way you have known how to elicit those feelings is through toxic men and other toxic behaviors.
What would you like people to think about you when you've gone? I'd like for them to say he took a few cups of love. He took 1 tablespoon of patience, 1 teaspoon of generosity, 1 pint of kindness. He took 1 quart of laughter, 1 pinch of concern, and then he mixed willingness with happiness. He added lots of faith, and he stirred it up well. Then he spread it over a span of a lifetime, and he served it to each and every deserving person he met. Muhammad Ali, thank you very much.
You gotta love Ali, man. Truly missed. And the important part to focus on is that last part, where he says to give your time and heart to those, quote, deserving of that generosity. Men, women might see the error in their ways, but if they're in way too deep, asking you to fall on the sword, the answer is clear. It's just time to walk away and give your attention to those people and things that actually deserve it. And if you made it to the end of this video, I want to say I appreciate you. So don't forget to hit that like button, drop a comment to have a chance to win, and hit that subscribe button for daily videos. And if you could take a quick sec to subscribe to the second channel, Man Guide Reacts, link is right down below in the description, so we can be sure that our message will keep on reaching the new men out there. I appreciate all the support, y'all.